Hello and welcome to another episode of Profoundly Silly Wisdom, the podcast for people who are ready to start living as their authentic self rather than following all the shoulds. If you've seen my video on dealing with indecision, you'll know that I've come back to my favourite tree. And there's a reason for that actually. We just recently experienced the loss of a pet, and I'm feeling somewhat spaced out and a little bit numb through the sadness of that. So I've come back to my tree for some courage and some nurturing while I bring you a video. Hopefully some kind of coherent video, but we'll see. I'll do my best. So today, actually talking about the pet. His name was Ginger, and he was a humble guinea pig. And humble is the right word really, because it can be quite humbling how much we can be affected by the passing of a pet, even a small animal like a guinea pig. But Ginge had a very sweet nature. And I think the reason why it affects us so much is that in some ways pets, they teach us how to love, because they're very real, aren't they? There's never any front with a pet. There's never any mask wearing or any of the kind of shenanigans that can go on in human relationships, and the manipulations, and I think in that way pets can connect us to our innocence, and the innocence that actually lives inside of us. So in a very real way they connect us to a part of ourselves that perhaps sometimes gets neglected in the so-called sophistication of day-to-day life. And so, I feel like what I want to talk to you about today is, it's partly informed by this recent experience. It's the incredible power of kindness. And because I think the other thing that pets bring out of us is that nurturing side, that compassionate side of us, again, that can sometimes get a bit lost when we get caught up in day-to-day stresses. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. So going back to this idea of innocence and, the innocence that lives within us. I'm sure you've heard of the term inner child, and I'm not going to go into all the ins and outs of the psychological meaning of that term. But I think we all have an idea, don't we, of the archetype of the child. What is a child like? I've already mentioned innocent, but also playful, in the moment, not overthinking things, sometimes a bit naive for that reason, but that's also part of children's charm, because they just say it like it is, as it is to them. They're very much grounded in their own truth, which they don't overthink, and that sort of honesty, I guess, from that place can be quite refreshing. But it's also that passion for life, which sometimes we can lose as adults. We can get bogged down under all of the responsibility of life, and lose that. So I think they connect us to that as well. And, it's, if you think about it, animals, children, they're very instinctive creatures. This is a vlog about connecting to your truth, and it's aimed at people who are going through an experience similar to the one I've sort of just been through or just coming out of losing connection with yourself and having to sort of rethink your life. Dark night of the soul is one of the terms that I've used to describe it, and this is a really important part actually of connecting to our guidance, is that instinctive part of us, connecting to our instinctive nature. I've, I call this gut instinct, because animals and children are very instinctive. They know what they like, they know what they don't like. And sometimes in our education we get trained away from this knowledge, from this just natural, embodied, in the moment knowledge that children and animals never lose, essentially. So that's a big part of reconnecting if we feel like we've lost touch with ourselves. And also, the other side that I mentioned is that animals and children can bring out that nurturing side of us, that compassionate side of us. And what's that? That's our heart. That's the part of us that connects to others, that values relationship, that cares for others, rather than just elbows them out the way because we're in a rush or they're getting in the way of what we want, which is what we can get into when we're very, very goal-oriented or stressed about things. So again, I've done various videos about that. In fact, I did a video about receiving guidance both through your gut and your heart, so I'll put a link to it here. But yeah, so the reason connecting to our nurturing nature, our heart nature, is important is because that's where our true values live. Again, I mentioned that in the video. That's where our authentic nature lives. And again, if we are wanting to reconnect with ourselves, if we feel like we've lost our way a bit, because we've just been following the conventional wisdom that we were taught, then that's the place, those are the two places we need to go, rather than, where we get trained to go, which is we get our heads filled with all of these shoulds and shouldn'ts, all of the rules of engagement, the things that we should want in life, the things that we should do, the things that we shouldn't do. And if we are too governed by our head, then that's when we lose touch with ourselves. So where am I going with this? Well, basically, before Ginger passed away and just threw a curveball at me, before that happened, I was actually doing some work on setting up a business, because, as I say, I'm sort of coming out of the end of this massive transition, and I've used the last 2 years basically to tune into my heart, tune into my gut, reconnect with playfulness, being in the moment, reconnect with my values. But I just basically got massively creatively blocked as I was working. I've joined a business community, so that's making up for gaps in my knowledge, because I've never set up a business before, no idea how to do it and all of that kind of stuff, and what's involved. But I just got massively creatively blocked. So that was a bit annoying, because I'd had this enthusiasm, childlike enthusiasm, and then it all dissipated, and I was like, oh, I'm not getting anywhere, I can't make decisions. And so I took that to my soul, and as you probably know, one of the biggest tools that I've used, aside from meditation and energy sort of exercises and things for clearing and connecting purposes, I used the journaling and the tarot for getting sort of specific answers from my soul about getting my heart's answer, if you like, to big questions. And so I asked my soul about this, and I said, how can I stay connected to my inner child, this enthusiastic, playful nature, which is where creativity lives. Again, I've mentioned that a lot in various videos. So we need to be in touch with this if we want to bring something new into the world. So how do I learn to enjoy setting up this business? Because at the moment it feels more like a chore. And so the answer I got was, I got pointed in the direction of this lady, so I'll just put her in front of you now. And she's called the Empress. And basically she is a very nurturing mother figure. As you can see, she's sort of surrounded, she's in very lush surroundings, she's in nature, she's very connected to nature, so very grounded. She's spiritual, if you can see at the top, her crown is full of stars, and 12 stars, like the 12 signs of the zodiac. So she's aware of her sort of divine origins, or our divine origins if you like, but still very much rooted in her earthly experience and surrounded by lush greenery, and there's wheat in the at the bottom here. So yeah, basically, and there's Venus, that's the sign of Venus. So not only is she an earth mother kind of archetype, but she's also, she also appreciates pleasure. She's connected to her 5 senses. She enjoys being in her body, she enjoys good food, she enjoys sensual experiences and beauty. So very much, someone who is enjoying their physical life. And so I got pointed in her direction because basically I feel like what my soul was saying is, if you get into this childlike enthusiasm and you're creative and you're in the flow, but what happens is then your programming kicks in again, the head. So we've had the gut, which is our playful child, and let's make things up and create things and not worry about where it's going because it's just fun. And then our heart, which is where our values sit. But instead of staying in those energies, we get pulled back into our programming, which is, where the critic comes in. And that's basically the critical parent. Now, you may have had a very critical parent growing up, which made it difficult to play, because if you're just playing and they might be criticizing what you're doing. But it's not just to do with parenting, it's to do with how our whole education system, how we get trained to judge ourselves, judge our performance constantly, made to feel that we're not good enough, measured against each other all the time. And all of these things, I'm not saying that there should never be any objective measurement of our skills, but the problem is that we often bring it into early. So you're in the early stages of creativity. That's not a time to be jumping in and criticizing. And what I realized was that that's what was happening in my head. I was busy working through the videos in this business community, thinking about what I want my business to look like, who I want it to serve, things like that. But what was going on in my head, I realized, is that I had this voice saying, you're not doing this quickly enough. You're taking too long. You need to move this along, and things like that. And also coming up, criticizing the ideas that I was coming up with. Oh, how's that going to work? That kind of thing. And that's what our inner critic does. And I think I like the term critical parent because it reminds us of what it does to us inside, because what it does to us internally is it shuts down our innocent child, playful child, because our inner child, if you like, gets self-conscious because they think, okay, suddenly it matters that the clothes I've just put on randomly are clashing, and I look, according to this critical parent, I look ridiculous and need to change, into something more sensible. And that's what happens is we've internalized the criticism, wherever we got it from. It's a social problem. It's not just about our particular parents or guardians. But yeah, we shut ourselves down, and that's what happens when we get pulled back into that programming of the critical parent. So one of the biggest challenges we face, if we want to create our own authentic life rather than following the rules, and if you're still listening to my videos, then you're someone who's definitely realized that the rules ain't work for you. So you need to find your own truth, but the key thing is that the key challenge that we will face in doing that is this critical parent, because that's what cuts us off from our heart energy. And it's what blocks out creative childlike energy, and it kills our enthusiasm. Basically, it's just depressing. I just wrote a little list of some of the differences between these two parents. See which one you like most. So critical parent is cruel versus the nurturing parent who is kind. Critical parent is judgmental versus the nurturing parent who is encouraging. Critical parent nitpicks the details, so picks at the details, and the nurturing parent sees the big picture. So I like that one particularly because I kind of imagine, I imagine sort of running up to my parent, my inner parent, with a drawing I've just made, and it's it's a bit crazy, and it's maybe not very realistic, and certainly not to scale. It's never going to be to scale. And I show that to my critical parent, and they will instantly start saying, well, the head's a bit big, isn't it? Well, that doesn't look right. Well, that could never happen, or I don't like those colours, That's the critical parent picking at the details. But the nurturing parent, so this lady or gentleman with a similar energy, they see, oh, my child is, expressing their creativity. This is wonderful. Who knows what that could lead to? They're not thinking, oh, let's go and hang it up in the Tate Museum. They're not stupid, they're not naive about these things, but they realise, oh, this is part of the creative process. And also not just creative process, this is part of life, enjoying life. Why not wear clothes that clash if you're in that kind of mood? Who knows? Just having that freedom to express, and there doesn't always have to be a productive reason for that, because they're big picture. So yeah, I like that one particularly, you can see. And finally on my list, I'm sure there are more, and let me know if you think of any, the critical parent is serious and heavy in their energy, and the nurturing parent is light-hearted and joyful. So, this is basically, what happens to us when we allow the programming to take over. It shuts down, like I said, it shuts down our natural playfulness, it shuts down our natural creativity that lives in our guts, that embodied wisdom that I talk about in another video, and I'll link to all of this so you can go and find it if you want to. And also, why does it block us off from our heart energy? Well, our heart energy, that's where the nurturing parent lives, because it's about our values, because that's where our values live. And deep down, we know that everybody is valuable. We know that love is the most important thing, in the world and in the human experience. We know, there's so much that we know in our hearts, but that we kind of forget about because we take on the value judgments of society. So, we prioritize other things that don't necessarily fit with that. We might consider status more important than relationships, or and I'm not sort of saying it's not an either or thing. Again, I'm not saying that we should all be poor but happy. That's not my vision of life, because again, this lady, she likes her pleasures. She probably likes a delicious glass of wine on occasion, or a beautiful meal shared with great company, and so and wonderful music and celebrations and social occasions. So it's not about choosing one over the other, it's just about staying connected to your values, your big why. And again, if you've kind of got a bit lost in life and a bit stuck, it's going to be one of those two things. You've either, and it might well be both, because you can see it's the programming. I call it the shitty programming because I don't like to mince my words. It's really shitty. It blocks us off. It blocks us off from our own big picture, from our own truth. And it blocks us off from our own preferences, our truth in the moment, our truth in our body at the time, that kind of thing. So that's kind of more or less what I wanted to say today. So how do we access our nurturing parent? I've already kind of mentioned, it's really in our heart space. And all of these practices that we do, these spiritual practices, are really, they're designed to just connect us into our body and to our hearts. But I think, given the challenge, making connecting to your nurturing parent priority, if you've got to that stage where you've kind of lost touch with yourself and you're feeling unfulfilled in life, then that's a true sign that, the place for you to go is here. Because your nurturing parent, as we've seen, she's very comfortable in her body and enjoying the physical experience too. So that will naturally connect you to your embodied wisdom as well. So that's the place to start if you've kind of got lost, and you need to find your way back, or maybe you feel like you maybe never knew where you were truly located. So I've been doing exercises, and again, if you're in a position that you can do this, i.e. not driving a car or operating heavy machinery, or walking across roads, busy roads, and you want to join in with me, then tune in. So if you want to just take a moment just to breathe, take a deep breath, and then just blow that air out of your body. Just imagine it actually just traveling down your spine and out of your body, down your legs into the earth. And take another deep breath and just feel that cleansing air come into your system. And again, blowing out that energy into the earth. Along with it, any stresses and strains that you feel, anything you're worried about, concerned about, anything that you feel heavy about. And take one more deep breath. And just let that energy dissipate into the earth. And just imagine with that breath that you're sending a grounding cord from your feet all the way down into the center of the earth, almost like a tree, big tree root that just connects you right to the center of the earth. And that you are part of Mother Earth, you are part of this body, this planetary body, because your body comes from it and goes back to it. And as you do that, imagine that energy from Mother Earth coming up, nourishing you, coming up your grounding cord to that energy center just below your feet called the Earth Star. That's where you connect in energetically to the Earth. And then imagine that energy coming up through your feet, into your ankles, your lower legs, your knees, your thighs, your hips, and up your central channel into your root, which is the center, energy center at the base of your spine, through your sacrum, your sacral chakra, your solar plexus, your heart, all the way up your spine, your throat, moving through your third eye, out the crown of your head, and connecting to the space above your head, that center called the soul star. And that's where you connect to the cosmos. Again, thinking of that crown that the Empress is wearing with all of those stars, reminding us that we all come from the stars originally. We have that cosmic origin. And so as you do that, imagine that energy coming from the center of the universe, connecting to your soul star as it moves through our sun, fills us with enlivening energy. So we've got the nurturing energy of Mother Earth coming up, and now we've got that masculine, strong, lively energy coming down through our soul star, through our crown, through our third eye, our throat, our heart, our solar plexus, our sacral chakra, our belly, and our root, out our root, down our hips, thighs, knees, lower legs, ankles, out our feet, through that soul, through that Earth Star that connects us to Mother Earth, and all the way down our grounding cord to the center of the earth. So we are now rooted in, getting that lovely energy coming up from the earth, supported by the earth, and now strengthened and energized by the sun. And that's also the energy that creates. It's that creative energy that governs all of the cosmic order and creates the worlds that, of which we are part. And that energy is flowing through you now. So just imagine, as that meets in the center of your being, it radiates out in every direction and generates that bubble of energy that we know as our biofield, that electrical field that exists around us and holds in our energy, our unique energy. So just feel that generating around you now, being strengthened and enlivened by Mother Earth and by that cosmic creative energy. And as you do that, if there's any remaining stress in your system, anything that's worrying and concerning you, just flush that static into the earth, let Mother Earth take it. And just imagine the cosmic energy just flushing it down, that strong sunny energy, so that you're just left in your own bubble. You've let all thoughts of other people and their concerns and desires for you or demands of you, you've let that go. And it's just you in your own space, your own sacred space, your own unique, authentic energy. And so as you experience being in your own energy, just move your awareness to that place in the center of your chest, that heart center. If you like, you can put your hand on your heart, or you can put your fingers on your heart to make real contact with that center of your chest area. That's where your soul lives. That's the seat of your true values, your big picture. Maybe the big picture that has been missing for you for a good few years now. And so just breathe into that place. If you like, you can say, "Hello, soul." I like doing that. You can tell I giggle when I do it as well, because I feel the energy of my soul sort of flickering in my heart space as I do it. It reminds me that my heart has been there all along. It doesn't matter what's been going on in my head, what I've been imagining and what I've been experiencing as a result, the emotions that I've been experiencing as a result of those beliefs and of those thoughts. My soul has always been there. My heart has always been there, holding the truth of my authentic nature, that nurturing parent. And so I just want you to take a moment to connect with that nurturing parent, knowing that that is you. That nurturing parent is you, the true you that existed before all of the rules you were told and the restrictions you were given, and what clothes you're all allowed to wear and what colour combinations. So just tune into that and be aware of your unique essence, because it is unique. Everybody is unique. And knowing that that heart, that soul, is connected to your true preferences as well that live in your body. And so that when you are connecting with this part of you, you are also connecting in to your body, to your body's wisdom. And just tuning into the truth of that nature, that kindness that never judges you. It doesn't matter what you've done or what you haven't done. Your heart will always love you, because it is love. It can't be anything else. It can't do anything else. And it never criticizes, because it understands It understands what got you to where you were. It understands the programs in your mind that led you to those decisions, to those actions. So if there is something that you're holding against yourself, then you can choose to let it go. Just give it to that nurturing parent within you. And don't worry if you can't immediately give it up. Maybe it's something that's been a big regret in your life. If that's the case, if you're not able to hand it fully over, then just say to your nurturing parent, I'm open to handing this to you completely. And just allow your parent to support you in handing that over when you're ready to do so. And let's tune into that big picture perspective, the opposite of that nitpicking, criticizing energy, judgmental energy that says what you're doing or what you've done isn't good enough. Your heart, your soul knows the big picture. It has the big plan for your life, and it knows that everything you do is part of the learning process, and even the things you don't do. So it sees that big picture, it knows, and it holds the true vision. And because it holds that vision for your life, you don't have to worry about whether this first draft you've written is good enough. Because it's just part of that process, of that creative process that is your life. And let's just tune into one more characteristic of our nurturing parent. The lightness. You see, the critical parent is afraid, because really all of these criticisms are just coming from that fear that you won't have enough, you won't be good enough, you won't make the grade, and you'll be rejected and left alone and abandoned, and you won't have the resources you need. But that isn't the attitude and the experience of the nurturing parent, because the nurturing parent knows she's connected, knows he's connected to all that is, to the divine. Again, think of those stars in the crown. Knows that we are part of the stars. And so there's never any lack. And so the nurturing parent is always relaxed, because it knows how. It's creative. It knows how to bring what you need when you need it. And so you can afford to relax and allow your child to play and to enjoy this moment. So when you've experienced that energy of your nurturing parent, thank it for always being there for you. And remember that it always is there for you. So any time during the day or at night, you can come back to this heart space and connect with that part of you in the center of your chest that never judges you, always loves you, always sees the big picture, sees your uniqueness, sees your potential. So we thank our nurturing parent for always being there for us. And with that, just take a deep breath. Breathe into that space. Remind yourself of its presence, because it's so easy to forget when our minds get busy. And when you're ready, just wiggle your fingers and toes and open your eyes. So I hope you found that helpful. I certainly did. It's helpful for me to remind myself. Yeah, and so, yeah, if you did, sorry, I'm enjoying the peacefulness of the exercise. But yeah, if you did enjoy that or find it helpful, then please like or, what else do we do? Oh, subscribe, I forgot. Like or subscribe. Like the video or subscribe to the channel, just so that more people see it. You know, I really want these videos to get to whoever needs them. And yeah, thanks for sharing this moment with me and my slightly spacey, you know, appreciating the love of this pet that has gone from my life but not really, because he did so much. He listened to me talking all my profoundly silly thoughts anyway. He didn't have a choice, but bless him, he was there. So yeah, thank you for sharing this moment with me, and I will see you on the other side.